Yep. Okay. Go!
Will you hand me my screen box?
Now go.
On the record, in the matter of Timothy Wakeling, 241150, an appearance for the people of the city of Riverview.
Yes, good afternoon. Michael Hurley on behalf of the people of the city of Riverview, Your Honor.
Thank you. And counsel?
Your Honor, John Goldpaw, P30758, on behalf of Mr. Wakely. Mr. Wakely, would you please put your name on the record?
Timothy Wakeling.
Okay, so I'm going to have everybody raise, well,
Your Honor,
everybody.
before we proceed, I do have a preliminary matter. It's just come to my, not just, but recently. As the court is aware, we've been here on a number of occasions. Last time we were here, we had a conversation regarding certain documents that were needed to continue with this hearing. We were informed to contact
DNA customer support line.
in order to get a litigation package. In other words, I assume Mr. Austin will be testifying from certain documents to support the readings and how these proceedings went. We have never been provided with that. We were told that we'd have to contact the support services. Mr. Wakely, who is much more attuned to what the attack on the testing, contacted them, and we were informed that the litigation package containing the documentation that we need cannot be provided except through a court order.
Okay, let me, Mr. Wakeling, you found that information out?
Yes.
When were you made aware of that information?
10, 12 days ago.
Okay, so when did you notify your attorney of that?
Today, Your Honor.
Well, why would you notify your attorney 10 or 12 days ago so then your attorney could have requested a court order 10 or 12 days ago?
Well, if Ms. Walker and Mr. Austin are going to be testifying to the information that is contained in that report, then why should I have to access reports and then submit them as evidence to the court when the court should already, through Mr. Hurley, have that evidence, and I should be able to get it through discovery, unless that has not been submitted to the court at this time?
Well, just a moment. There isn't necessarily formal discovery that's necessarily a process that needs to be followed in probation violation matters. But if you found out the information that the information you're seeking is only available through a court order 10 or 12 days ago, why did you not notify your attorney immediately so then your attorney could have contacted the court to submit the order?
Because I do not believe that I should be responsible for submitting evidence against me. If the evidence is being presented against me, the report that Ms. Walker and Mr. Austin are going to be testifying to, I should have access to that report without having to go through a court order to have my own version and my own copy of that, which I would not be submitting as evidence against myself.
Well, sir, I think you're kind of missing you're asking for that information so that you can review it.
Correct.
Prior to the hearing.
Correct.
Not so that it's being submitted as evidence. Because if it's being submitted as evidence, then,
Well, what is being submitted as evidence?
well, I hadn't gotten that far yet because I haven't heard from Mr. Hurley. I was getting ready to swear everybody in, and then I was told that we had a preliminary matter. So let me swear everybody in, and then we'll get to that as we get to it.
Okay.
Mr. Austin, Ms. Walker, and Mr. Wakeling, please raise your right hands. And Mr. Hurley, you may proceed.
Thank you, Your Honor. Is Ms. Shaw available?
I didn't know you needed Ms. Shaw to testify.
And Your Honor, for the
I don't need her right at the moment, but if she could be standby, that would be helpful. I'm ready to proceed with either Mr. Austin or Ms. Walker.
Your Honor, at this point in time, you said we're going to proceed. I think it's important to note, and I'm going to ask for an adjournment then, so we can now submit this order. If Mr. Austin has documents that he is going to be testifying from, more than just what we received, what Ms. Shaw has, then clearly, Your Honor, we are entitled to that. And we are entitled to that through discovery. Because we are, how can we impeach him or how do we know what he is testifying from? For those reasons, Your Honor, I will submit the appropriate order and we will proceed from there. But other than that, I guess we're going to ask for an adjournment of these matters.
But how do we know what anybody's testifying to if they haven't taken any testimony yet? Mr. Hurley, do you have any evidence that you are intending on submitting?
Just what I was provided, Your Honor, is it appears to be some sort of a lab report from, it says Abbott at the top, Redwood Toxicology Laboratories, Inc., out of California.
Okay, and so just a moment, counsel. So is there a stipulation to that exhibit or no?
Is there what, Your Honor?
I'm asking Mr. Goldhoff if
I'm
there's a
just
stipulation
looking.
to that exhibit.
I'm just making sure I have that. Can we, my copy here is kind of blurry. Would it be possible to quickly make a separate copy of that?
Your copy is blurry?
When I print it off my,
Oh, part of the ink well.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll make a copy.
thank you.
Mr. Hurley, do you have any objection if I make a copy for Mr. Goldhoff?
No, Your Honor.
Mr. Hurley, is there any other evidence that you're intending on introducing?
No, Your Honor.
Okay. Mr. Goldpaw, is there any evidence that you are intending on introducing?
Other than how these tests were done, the evaluation of the tests, as the court is aware, Mr. Wakeling has sent documents both to the testing facilities, I believe they have it now, as well, I assume Mr. Hurley does, his positions regarding that. And one of the areas that's why Mr. Wakely has deemed its claim of diluted, claiming of false positive, it's clearly an opportunity there. These are part of the issues, as well as the collection.
And so the documents that your client is seeking, what exactly are those?
That document that you're making a copy of, that's what I've been requesting all along.
No, you have that one.
No, I've never been issued a copy of that. If I would have, I could have taken literally 30 to 35 minutes to go ahead and do all the research that I needed. That is what I've requested at the last
The
meeting.
lab report.
Yes.
But that's been available the whole time.
Yeah, but not the
And I was told that the lab report was not available unless I got a quote litigation package. The number that I called stated that the litigation package needed a court order. All I've been asking for is this lab report.
Is the what?
Is this lab report?
You need to believe that you wanted the underlying testing part.
I just needed the lab report.
But I do recall originally we did go over this. Maybe that was my misconception with the lab report.
Yeah, we can continue. I can read as we're continuing.
Okay, so are we stipulating to the admission of this exhibit?
Yes.
Yes.
It's fine.
Okay.
Okay, so then the court will accept the lab report as People's Exhibit 1. And Mr. Hurley, who are you calling first?
Flip a coin. Who wants to go first, Miss Walker or Mr. Austin?
Well, counsel, it's your case that you have to present, so whichever way you're doing it.
Who's the superior between the two of you?
Probably Miss
Mr.
Walker.
Austin, do you work for Miss Walker or does Miss Walker work for you?
Mr. Austin works for DNA, the collection site, counsel.
Do you have anything to do with this lab report, Mr. Austin?
No, sir. I only collect the sample and seal it and it gets sent out.
Okay. And then you send it to Miss Walker and Miss Walker's.
Counsel, are you calling Mr. Austin as a witness?
Pardon?
Are you calling Mr. Austin as a witness?
Yes.
Okay, so please indicate that for the record.
All right, I will call Michael Austin as the first witness, Your Honor.
Okay, very good. and Mr. Austin's already been sworn in, and so you may continue.
Excuse me, Your Honor.
I'm sorry.
I just have a question. Would it be okay if we sat at
That's
the
fine.
table?
Yes.
And second of all, I anticipate, after my discussions with Mr. Wakely, that he may be doing a number of the questions asked because of his expertise in this area.
No, he's not an attorney. He's not asking the questions. Absolutely not. Are you a licensed attorney in the state of Michigan?
No, I'm not.
No, and he's not doing the questioning. Absolutely not. Okay, and so you may proceed, counsel.
Thank you, Your Honor. Mr. Austin, so your involvement with this is you collect the sample, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And Mr. Wakeling was on probation of the court. He was ordered to submit a sample. I believe it's a urine sample in this situation. Is that correct?
I believe so, yes.
And you collected this and secured it. What is the process that you do to preserve the record and to establish chain of custody?
When the individual comes in, they sign in, they move over to the next station, and they, I don't know if you can see it, they sign in on their chain of custody. They'll sign it, they'll initial it, they'll remove their security seal, which will go across the top of one of these cups. It's also sterile until the seal's broke. The seal's not broken until we get into the bathroom. It's broke. They fill it. It's sealed. The one seal goes across the top. The other one goes around the bottom. Then it's put into a bio bag, rolled up, and it's sent out.
And do you mark it to make sure that the specimen that's received is from this particular defendant?
Yes, we usually write their name down on the cup when it's set up while we're waiting for them to sign their COC. Their initials are on the seal that goes across the top, and their name is on the other one that seals the two ends of the bottom.
Okay.
Other seal.
And then you
And then
take that and put it into some sort of a container or box and then send it to the lab to be processed.
Yes, sir.
And did you personally deal with Mr. Wakeling in this situation?
I'm gonna have to assume that I did because I'm here.
Hold on, just a moment. There's an objection.
You don't, you remember this particular,
Counsel, there's an objection. Please hold on just a moment. What is your objection?
He's assuming something. The question was, do you have any recollection? I am assuming, I'm objecting to that. I'm
Okay,
assuming
so-
what he's assuming.
The objection is to that Mr. Austin is assuming, and he doesn't know for sure if he dealt with Mr. Wakely. Your response, counsel?
well, sounds like that's what he's saying. I'm going to ask him more specifically if he has any specific recollection of this.
Okay.
That was my next question before Mr. Gopal objected.
Okay, so Mr. Gopal, I'm going to hold your objection in abeyance at this point. I want to see what the follow-up is.
Mr. Austin, do you have any specific recollection of dealing with Mr. Wakeling on the date that this was collected, which was December the 9th of 2024?
No, sir.
Okay, were you on duty that day?
Yes.
You were. Okay, does anybody else do your job?
No.
No. So if this got processed on that day, it would have been through you, is that correct?
Objection, again, calls for speculation. He has no specific recollection of having dealt with Mr. Wakely.
Right.
We already established that.
Mr. Hurley was asking questions to determine if anybody else was present that would have dealt with Mr. Wakely, or if it was only Mr. Austin.
And he testified he was the only one working that day. However,
Correct.
That's right. That's correct, Your Honor.
Okay, objection overruled.
thank you.
Thank you. So, Mr. Austin, even though you don't have any specific recollection, you were on duty. You would have been the one that handled this particular sample, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And what, once it's processed, do you mail it personally? You put it in the mailbox, UPS? How do you get it to Miss Walker's office?
I do not do it personally. My boss does that. I put them in the FedEx bag, and she takes them to the FedEx office to be shipped out to Miss Walker.
It goes by FedEx to Miss Walker's office, slab.
Correct.
Okay, thank you. That's all I have for Mr. Austin here.
I'm sorry, I was coughing. What was that, Counsel?
I said, thank you. That's all I have for Mr. Austin, Your Honor.
Okay, Mr. Gopal, cross-examination.
Thank you. Mr. Austin, excuse me if I don't stand up if you don't mind.
That's fine, Counsel.
Thank you, Ron. Now, you indicated that the collection of the cups occurs in the lavatory. Is that correct?
The collection of the sample, yes.
Okay. And prior to collecting this sample, is the sink clean inside of the lavatory?
Well, clean. They're clean.
You take, I would assume that, and correct me if I'm wrong, that this is like a number of people come, they sign in, fill out all the paperwork that they're supposed to do. You hand them what appears to be a sterile cup. And are there, while you're dealing with one individual, is there another individual giving a sample?
No.
Okay. Mr. Wakely wasn't the first person you dealt with that day, was he?
I don't know what time he came in, but no, I would doubt that. I don't know what time he came in, but I would doubt that.
Okay. And so he fills out some paperwork, signs something, and then you give him the cup. And in your presence, he takes the top off and he goes into the bathroom. Is that correct?
No, we're already in the bathroom before the seal is broken in the cup.
Before the seal is broken. And from the person that was there before, was there any cleanup or anything that was done in the sink or in the lavatory so as to make sure that there's no contamination from previous probationers?
Well, I don't know what you mean by contamination. They're not urinating in the sink, and that's what you're asking me about if I'm cleaning the sink in the lavatory. I do not clean the lavatory after every individual, but usually at the end of the shift.
So in other words, the answer is no.
What was your question? You asked if the bathrooms were...
I asked if the sink was cleaned up, and you're now telling me no. Now, there are multiple samples taken during the day. Is that correct?
Yes.
And between the samples being taken, is the bathroom cleaned up?
In between each individual person that comes
Yes.
through there? No.
Yes. Now, you indicated that the cup is placed on the sink. Is that correct?
The cup is on the sink when I'm putting the cap on it, or when it's handed over, yes. But it's not upside down.
And so there's always the possibility that this sample, or at least the cup, has been contaminated by something that may have occurred prior to that. Isn't that correct?
I don't believe so, no.
There's facts that aren't even in evidence. It's completely hypothetical.
Well, so, Counsel, your response to assuming facts on evidence,
I'm not, Your Honor.
your question is whether or not a sample could be contaminated because the cup itself is placed on the sink that may or may not be dirty, correct?
That is correct, Your Honor.
So that's the outside of the cup.
I understand that,
And
Your Honor.
your client produces a sample inside of the cup,
I understand, Your Honor.
correct?
I
Okay.
understand.
So, all right, the court's going to sustain the objection.
Thank you. Now, you indicated that after the sample is provided, you put a strip into the cup. Is that correct?
I did not say that, but
Okay.
if it requires a fentanyl test, then a strip would be placed inside. I don't know if this test had a fentanyl test done.
Yeah, so you said you did, if there's a fentanyl test, then the strip, and there's only one strip, it's placed into this cup, correct? Is placed into the cup before it's sealed. Is that correct?
Correct.
And when you're doing that, are you placing the this strip in the presence of the particular patient, for lack of a better term?
Yes.
Okay, so that means that Mr. Wakeling would have been there when this strip was done. Is that correct?
That's correct. But like I said, I don't even know if he got a fentanyl test.
Well, if I showed you the exhibit that we stipulated to, would you agree that, or you don't have that in front of you, I take it, that there was a test for fentanyl?
Okay, if you have the documentation that says there was, then there was one performed.
Well, I'm gonna object to that. I'm looking at it here. I don't see anything where it says fentanyl, Mr. Gopal.
Okay, so the court will note that the court does, that our probation department does order that fentanyl is one of the drugs that's tested for because it is so prevalent and so dangerous. Whether or not it shows up on here, counsel, would be if it was, well, no, it would show negative. I don't know. Well, I guess the question for Ms. Walker would be whether or not it shows that. If it's not, if it's showing tested, I don't know how that's determined. And Mr. Austin doesn't seem to have any information regarding what type of testing was in fact done for Mr. Wakeling. But I have to tell you, I think this is kind of difficult to do with everybody on Zoom.
Okay.
Obviously, Ms. Walker's on Zoom because she's in California. But I believe that we need to have Mr. Hurley or Mr. Austin in person because we're holding up sheets, we're not having I mean, and I just find that it's very difficult for everybody to be able to review what it is that's being reviewed. Just as though Mr. Austin was showing the cup and things of that nature on screen, which I appreciate, but I think it's difficult to get a full understanding when individuals are on Zoom. Ms. Walker doesn't have anything she has to really show as an exhibit or otherwise, so I do think that we're gonna have to set this for everybody to come back in person. Except for Ms. Walker, we don't have in our budget to fly you from California.
No worries.
Well, it's getting warmer here, and we don't have any fires, or a light, at least not a lot.
So,
That'd be fine, Your Honor. I agree with the court.
okay, so is everybody available to come in person tomorrow? You're already here tomorrow.
I'm here tomorrow, yes, Your Honor.
Yes. In the afternoon, Mr. Hurley?
Tomorrow, the 19th in the afternoon?
No, tomorrow's the 12th.
Oh, I'm sorry.
We haven't had our beloved St. Patrick's Day yet, so it's not the 19th.
Yes, I'm free, Your Honor.
We're in a competition this year. Okay,
Your Honor,
you're available? Okay.
I am available, but I don't believe Mr. Wakeling is.
Why are you not, what do you have?
Work obligations, Your Honor.
Okay, well, sir, we've adjourned this a number of times to make sure that we're getting all the information, having everybody available. For that, I think we would set this for about 2:30 in the afternoon. Is that something that you can accommodate? Mr. Austin, are you available?
Can I have one moment to check, walk away from the computer and check?
Yes.
Mr. Hurley?
Thank you, Your Honor.
Mr. Hurley's available.
Oh.
Ms. Walker, are you available on Zoom tomorrow?
I can definitely make that available for you, Your Honor, no problem.
All right, thank you.
Mhm.
If Mr. Austin's available, then we're gonna have to do it for tomorrow afternoon, 2:30. Mr. Austin, were you able to check your calendar?
Yes, Your Honor, I'm available.
Okay, 2:30 in person tomorrow afternoon.
Thank you, Your Honor.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you very much. All right, off the record.
Are you kidding me?
Oh my God.
You have got to be kidding me. What is going on today? This is Jay is absolutely the interpreter.
I need an interpreter when I cannot express myself somewhere.
Oh my God, sir, put that cigarette out. I don't give a crap that you are outside of this. What is wrong with everybody today? You know what, Miss Green, we're gonna start bringing people in for We're gonna learn how to act in a courtroom.
Can you hear it? Can you hear it? Ma'am? Ma'am? Can you hear it?
Times like these, they
Okay.
come and go, so let this feeling
I'm sitting up here, I'm the one that needs a drink.